Hi, we're back again. Um, yeah, and we immediately start with we have four more speakers coming up for you. So let's immediately start with them. Because of the pandemic, our next speaker, Noam Youngrak Son, started thinking about the similarities between bats and humans. We go immediately to their presentation.
Dear Anonymous Bat, I saw you for the first time in a TV show called Man vs. Wild. In the video clip that was taken in China, Bear Grylls' so-called adventurer violently smashed and stomped on you. What happened in the video was an aggressive expression of the following dichotomies: man versus wild, Bear Grylls versus bats, healthy looking versus seemingly disease carrying, white versus non-white, male versus not specifically male, modern versus uncivilized. If I were to place myself in these political frames, I'm probably standing closer to you than Bear Grylls as a queer person of color. Those dichotomies became more severe, especially in this time of COVID-19, the era in which the virus kills Black Americans at significantly higher rates, in which lockdown increases domestic violences toward women globally, in which I witnessed numerous hate crimes against Asians. It gives me a feeling that we're both absurdly accused as virus carriers. In my case, because I'm from the part of the world where the pandemic started. In your case, since the disease is purportedly transferred from your species.
Hi, human. That's true, the pandemic is real, but how your species perceives the outbreak is based on mythologies. And the particular racist myth that you are talking about is actually an archaic one, only has been amplified with an excuse of the pandemic.
Hey, Anonymous Bat. Thank you for speaking back. I really wanted to talk to you because I thought the racism aroused by COVID-19 that I'm facing now might be comparable to what Bear Grylls perpetrated to you.
Actually, we're very alike. Just like your species, we live in a big group, have a long lifespan, and travel long distance frequently. And those qualities are known as what makes us susceptible to virus.
Yes, and that's also what made COVID-19 spread so extensively among us. But I have a question. I heard that COVID-19 to your species is not as deadly as it is to us. Why is that?
I think it's partly due to our ability to limit inflammatory responses. Sometimes drastic reactions to eradicate the virus damages your own body, so that we've chosen to dampen inflammation and tolerate the viruses.
So what you're doing is to live with the virus. Perhaps that's an evolutionary tactic that our species should adopt as well to survive this time. Maybe not like so-called herd immunity way that exposes everyone to danger, but through millions of years.
Yes, and not only physiologically, I think your species needs more attitude toward living together with unwanted beings. There are more beautiful examples that you can learn from.
Just talking about the attitude of living together, I wonder if mere toleration, which is the way you're dealing with the viruses, is the best we have to pursue.
Good point. That's what I was talking about. There are more active ways of living together than just tolerating the unwanted others from a distance. Have you heard of CRISPR-Cas9?
Yes, isn't it a kind of enzyme that cuts a specific genetic sequence of DNA? I learned that is discovered from bacteria and made gene editing way easier.
Exactly. Viruses and bacteria have been co-evolving for a vast period of time. Viruses have been trying to hijack bacteria, and bacteria developed this enzyme that recognizes and cuts off the DNA sequence of a virus.
To relate that back to the attitude of living together, I think that invention was possible because they admitted the existence of each other and dynamically co-evolved rather than merely tolerating each other.
Indeed. And if that relationship harmoniously prolongs, it can become like that of mitochondria in your cell. Those were two different cells that were in a symbiotic relationship, but they embraced each other and turned into one creature.
I'm surprised to realize that the interspecies boundary is more ambiguous and permeable than what I thought. And also that living with the others can develop into becoming the others. Let me try that. So, is it me who became you, or is it you who became me?
I'm gonna invite them to the stream. Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was. It was a very nice conversation between you and the bat, and I was wondering if the Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte would also have had a talk with the bat. How would the way that we deal with the virus be different then?
That's a very interesting point to speculate about. Well, I think if he had a conversation with a bat, then probably he would, I don't know, like come up with a very proper measure to deal with the hate crimes against East Asians in the Netherlands.
Yeah, he didn't put that much attention to it. You mean?
Yeah,
Or
the bat was talking about a sort of interspecies symbiotic relationship, but how can we achieve interspecies relationship if we're so bad at interracial or interpersonal relationship?
yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Um, yeah, I was wondering a bit about that because the bat was saying that instead of tolerating each other, we should co-evolve into each other. In this video, you co-evolved with the bat virtually, but is this virtual co-involvement the way to go, or how do you think about that?
Well, first of all, just regarding the lockdown situation that we have now, like it was mentioned multiple times, like during this event today, like our digital identity now is now overpowering our actual identity. So so that I think is I mean, if you're specifically talking about the digitally becoming the other, I think this is a very good timing. And and second of all, if you were talking about more sort of biological way of becoming other, we like it was mentioned, like briefly mentioned during my talk, there was a fundamental benefit that most of like the plants and the animal have had. For instance, plant cell was yeah had like had symbiotic had a relation formed a relationship that has started as a symbiotic relationship with algae, and now that and that's how they photosynthesize now. And also in case of us, mitochondria, which is like an organelle in our cell that produces ATP, like our
What is it?
main chemical source of energy in our cells, was actually another cell that like our great celled ancestor was was collaborating with, but they embraced each other and became like one entity, which is which is super ambiguous to tell them apart.
Yeah, it's an interesting process and thought experiment as well, I think. We got a question from Carl. Would you say that doubts you had about how people perceived your race were confirmed in this situation?
Well, I think it was, especially when the pandemic just has started. I was very upset about it. Maybe I'm still am. But whenever I face
a huge sort of structural injustice that I cannot really deal with as an individual, I dive into fictions, I think.
Yeah.
And that almost like determined how the format of this project, I would say.
Interesting. And do you want to keep working on it, like more also with the evolvement of the virus, or how are you seeing this?
Yeah, I've been actually working on speculative talk show, in which, so it's the premise that it has is that somehow human beings formed a symbiotic relationship with COVID-19, the virus, so that virus becoming a virus being used as currency in that sort of fuels human economy. So that's coming soon. Probably
Sounds
it'll be
interesting.
ready by the beginning of next month.
Oh, that's fast. But yeah, it's nice. We will keep an eye on your work. We will share a link to your work or your website or Instagram via the chat now. And I want to thank you for your talk.
Yes.
Thank
This is
you.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.